Continue to see the overall coronavirus case count trend in the right direction here in the U.S. Overall COVID-19 cases on Monday fell to 27,178. That was the first time we saw a report come in below that 30,000 number in about 3 months' time. And on the vaccine front, some interesting updates as well as major, biotech companies here in the U.S. and Europe working on vaccine candidates pledged to only submit vaccines that would seek emergency use authorization after they demonstrate efficacy through phase 3 trials. Of course, those are the ones ongoing right now. We've seen some early results, but a lot still to be determined in terms of how effective they are relative to the threshold that the FDA has set up. And a lot of pressure right now, at least some people worried about pressure that politics might be playing in getting some of these vaccine candidates approved. And here to discuss all that with us is Dr. Rishi Desai, Chief Medical Officer at Osmosis and former Center for Disease Control and Prevention Epidemic Intelligence Officer. And Dr. Desai, I mean, when we talk about it, we've already addressed the politics at play here and some of those concerns. But how important is it to see, I guess, the companies behind these vaccines say, look, we're not even going to go ahead and seek FDA approval here until we know they're safe through phase 3 trials?
I think it's really important. And, these companies, they create other products, right? Other vaccines, other medications. And so they have to make sure that that reputation is going to withstand in the long haul, right? They don't want anyone to think, gosh, these were bad actors during that crisis. And down the road, that could have severe repercussions for them. So I think that they're doing a really smart thing by making sure that everyone knows that they're not going to go out and rush to getting a vaccine out there that's not safe and not effective. That was really great to see.
It's not just them too, though. It looks like the FDA is also instituting a lot of their own backstops to make sure that some of the pressures maybe that we've seen before, and you can point to examples, particularly in hydroxychloroquine and what we saw in terms of that getting approved as a treatment before that getting walked back under emergency use. I mean, when you think about that and how important it is for the agency itself to maybe also say, look, we're going to stand by our threshold here that a vaccine needs to be 50% effective before we approve it and get it out there. I mean, how important does it become that the FDA is able to stiff arm politics and let the science speak for itself?
It's great. It's very, very important that the FDA came out and did that same thing. Donald Trump right now is putting a ton of pressure across the board. And you could say, well, that's a good thing. We're in a pandemic. The downside to that is when you put pressure on the scientists to report things that may not be accurate or to push things through that may not be safe, that puts us all at jeopardy. And just a thought experiment with you for a second here. Let's imagine that there's a vaccine that's 5% effective or 1% effective, and that gets given out to millions of Americans. Those folks that get the vaccine, they implicitly believe that they're vaccinated, right? Like they're protected. So the masks start coming off, the parties start up again, everyone starts kind of congregating. And if it's 1% effective, now COVID-19 just took a turn for the worst. And so that's the danger here, right? Like we want something that's out there that's going to protect us, but actually protect us, not just protect us 1%. So the FDA threshold of 50% is a really good threshold because that gets us, well beyond COVID-19.
The other aspect, too, that we always kind of overlook in discussing is how many of those Americans are actually going to get the vaccine and how important that number starts to play. If you keep that 50% threshold, constant and say, look, if a vaccine hits it, we're going to go with it at 50%. I mean, how important then does it become getting it out to Americans, not just quickly, but making sure that it's safe and that Americans actually want to take the vaccine?
Absolutely. It's very, very critical that enough people sign up for this, let's say it's 50% effective vaccine. And then two more things. One, that we don't let down our guard. We continue wearing masks and doing all the other things that have been helping us until now. And two, that if there is a problem with this vaccine, you have to remember this is going to play out in the decades to come, right? So all of a sudden people start not trusting science, not believing basic things about how biology works, saying maybe I don't need any vaccines. So things like that have severe repercussions down the road. So we really have to know that everyone's paying attention right now. And however this plays out, people are going to remember that for the long haul.
At the very least, though, I guess, encouragingly, when we look at the data and the science and the way that it's played out now, I mean, masks have been shown to be effective in what we've seen, and it's working in the numbers. When you think about 44% of U.S. counties over the last 7-day averages now seeing daily cases off 75% from their highs. That's the highest reading that we've seen in a while. I mean, when you think about things trending in the right direction, another point would be the positivity rate here nationwide falling to 4.6% over the weekend. That was the lowest level in 3 months. So, I mean, things do seem to be improving, but how afraid are you that, we've made this progress? We saw it before. Things broke down. Things moved in the wrong direction. This is an ongoing pandemic. So how worrying does it become in thinking that people would just start to take their foot off the gas?
It's very worrisome. Back in April, we saw the spike, and then we started feeling good about ourselves. Things were getting better. Everyone's saying, hey, it's May now, things are better. And then we saw this incredible double spike where it got even higher than it ever was back in April. We're now kind of seeing it trend down. We're kind of back to April rates right now. So this is not the time to let, your foot off the gas pedal. We need to make sure that even though things are better, we don't start crowding the beaches and crowding the lakes and doing all those kinds of things, that we really just continue to hunker down and stay safe. Coming out of Labor Day, it'll be interesting to see 2 weeks from now whether we start seeing spikes again. Yeah, that's definitely my worry.
Yeah, we saw that before, 4th of July. You can remember back to Memorial Day. Each one of these long weekends, we always track those numbers. We'll be watching closely as well. But Dr. Rishi Desai, appreciate you taking the time to chat as always.
Thank you.
Hey investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.